Convergence, a League of Legends story, is a good platformer that will transport you between the rooftops and shores of XONE, Piltover's neighboring city. If Mageseeker struck the mark with an engaging plot and well-chosen combat, Convergence, a League of Legends plot is the arrow that splits the previous one in half and splits the target in half, much like in the movies. Despite the fact that they were released just over a month apart, it nearly appears that the developers of this new product have decided to intervene on the critiques leveled at the previous work in order to provide League of Legends fans, or anybody who is in love with Arcane, with a genuinely unique experience. Riot Forge, the Riot Games label created to create a whole series of externally developed spin-offs that expand the League of Legends imagery, and Double Stallion Games hit the nail on the head by producing a truly solid, with a clear sense of progression, a simple but intriguing story, and a decidedly charismatic protagonist, Echo. LOL's time traveler will follow you through the roofs and shores of XONE, the underground city that dwells in the shadow of Piltover, to foil a scheme involving the same crystals that revolve around the plot of Arcane. In this Convergence, a League of Legends story review, we will discuss the extremely basic mechanics present in this game's fighting and exploration, as well as how, thanks to a well-developed universe and a complex narrative, this release can be regarded Riot Forge's most successful to date. Convergence, a League of Legends story will grant you access to all of the most basic 2D platform game abilities, including jump, double jump, sprint, wall walk, court skate, rail grind, and bounce jump, wall jump. The ability to rewind time at any time, both during battle and platforming, distinguishes this game as both unique and nostalgic. This feature immediately transported us back to the days of Prince of Persia and the Sands of Time, reminding us how much less frustrating video games can be simply by allowing us to retry without having to restart from a checkpoint. The charges you have available are limited, but the supplies required to replenish your reserves are easily located across the game maps. Exploration is especially gratifying because it is almost never harsh, and there are only a few instances where a certain region will demand you to employ a specific skill. Skills like double jumping or the ability to briefly walk over walls, as in Hollow Knight, are utilized to open specific portions of the map until you acquire them as a reward for natural story progression. It's first annoying, but we understand the stylistic choice because it's a fantastic way to combine a linear narrative with an almost open-world concept. Along with exploring, the other activity that will consume the majority of your time is combat, which is simple to master but becomes increasingly complex as the story develops. Throughout the game, the primary weapon remains Echo's greatsword, with the main differences being scouting abilities that can all be used to hurt adversaries in some fashion. In combat, the capacity to teleport, for example, converts into a strike capable of destroying enemy shields, while the ability to move big items with the force of the Zero Engine, the device that allows Echo to travel through time, evolves into a repulsor that drives away opponents. You can add techniques to these instruments in return for game currency obtained by smashing the items distributed across the stages. We recommend that you learn the parry as soon as possible because it is necessary to stun some of the fiercest foes you will face beginning with the 3rd level. Echo can build gadgets as an extra layer of customization, which translate into passive modifiers that add effects to and augment your talents. Each of these takes up a specific number of spaces based on its effectiveness, although Echo can increase the number of slots available to him by conquering bosses. These powerful foes are mostly beautifully done, even though one of them is nearly identical 3 times but with a different clothing. The conflicts are truly fantastic when the other League of Legends champions act as the final enemy. We won't give away any spoilers, but 2 renowned champions from XONE and Piltover will make you sweat owing to multi-stage confrontations with varying assaults. The art direction is one of the components of Convergence, a League of Legends story that has left us most satisfied. The style of both the scenery and the movies, which is somewhere between cartoon and comic, is very much in sync with the light atmosphere that reigns in this video game. The Italian dubbing is excellent, accurately capturing the villains' and protagonists' exaggerated characters. The level design then evolves quite well alongside the various skills that are unlocked, with each level having a short introductory part demonstrating a new feature before incorporating it into the flow of exploration and battle. The surroundings of the platforming sequences are thus the most visually appealing aspect. The Double Stallion painters truly outdid themselves here, restoring the decadent yet richly furnished ambience to which Arcane has accustomed us for XONE and Piltover extremely effectively and in their own manner. In terms of progression, we loved the idea to envisage the various areas of the map as virtually linear levels that, once the goal is completed, may always be replayed to try to get the game's many trinkets. There is no backtracking. Retracing your steps to a finished level is never required by the tale and is entirely at the player's decision. Collectibles are obtained in two ways, the first through mini-platforming challenges with a chest at the end, and the second through dedicated sections of the map that contain either a relatively difficult exploration challenge chasing a robot or a difficult fight with 3 or 4 groups of enemies one after the other. The one obvious issue in this game is the lack of variation in the foes, who, with the exception of a few elite units, do not vary much during the game. The issue is that as the opposing faction changes, it is clear that the majority of the base foes are the same as the prior faction, but with a slightly different color scheme and somewhat higher health. It's unfortunate, but it doesn't prevent you from enjoying the mechanics and stunning environments.